Hi guys, Hengist here from Military Wargaming and a big welcome back old souls. Today it is French Somaliland 1940 episode 18, The Raid. Here is our theatre map and our situation map as you can see. But today's episode is all about a raid from Djibouti to Abort. If we look at our timeline, we're at the late stage of night and we had to do a lot of background research to prepare Abort for this. You could see a contemporary map, the red square indicating our main area. A lot of the images that we found are 60s and 70s, unfortunately, some 80s there. But a lot of these images can be very, very helpful. You have to work out and determine what is build up, i.e. post your period. But I really tried to do my best here, and we used this in the invasion and capture of Abort by Italian forces. So it's a really good set as far as I'm concerned and what I wanted to work on. And with this detail, of course, Sam has developed a really great map for the Abort area. Now today it's a little different with Free French Forces because we're talking about the Fusilier Marines. These boys were to become 6th Commando. This is a great book, Les Fusiliers Marines de la France Libre by Fleury, excellent. And these guys fought in North Africa, the Med, Italy, and all the way through Normandy and the Rhine, and were brilliant at Bir Hakeim too. And an important character in this is Lieutenant Commander Philippe Kiefer. Now, Kiefer was to lead them at the Dieppe raid and at Sword Beach in 44, when as part of 6th Commando, they took the casino at Oostrum. Now, our guys are ultimately just a company, and they're at Djibouti and getting ready for action. And getting ready for action meant I had to prepare these guys. So again, I used 15mm QRF with Peter Pig for head swaps, and they've come out really, really fantastic. And really importantly, I also had to produce them for the battle top as well. And again, I was pleased, notably on the boats themselves. And let's now look at the mission planning for this, which was critically important. Following the fall of Abort, the French began to get a little bit concerned and decided that this vessel posed a particular threat to them. Now, this is the freighter, the Sea Sparrow, under a Panamanian flag. And General Le Gentlehomme had serious strategic concerns. And French military and naval intelligence came up with a proposal and were tasked to execute this plan using the Navy and the Marines, basically. And this was going to be a cutting out operation, i.e. take the vessel intact, or ultimately to destroy it as a potential threat. The planning behind this was incredibly detailed, as you can see here. They looked at everything from the tides, the moon, all the sort of things that you are likely to encounter in this type of mission. And so Operation Neptune was born, and it was going to be a combined arms operation using the French Colonial Sloop, the Empress, the 1st Portez Squadron, and the MTBS, who were going to be used for infill and exfil. And he had to take a lot of equipment as well. Pistol flares for signals, muffled out grappling hooks, breaching ladders, and of course explosives to blow the anchors off so they could break clean quick. Here's the plan. You can see the Colonial ship offshore providing fire mission support. The two groups that are going to go in and attack with a decoy bombing run at the same point in time. Let's now look at the Italian preparations, because they had a tougher ask, because they had to consider an all-round attack. So the umpire made them sort of plan out and give SOPs for what they were going to do. And a brilliant plan, we can't show it in full detail, was produced. It was outstanding. And here's all this detail around the area where the raid's going to take place, which really helps build the scenario. And looking at the garrison, we could then allocate the troops, their state of readiness, and everything else that went along with this. And we have to also look at night fighting. And although we've got extensive rules on this, we had to factor and build this into the game: navigation, movement, detection, perils, and the weather. We also like to shoot in black and white for the viewers, and that's important for atmospherics and immersions. We even have the players playing in low light, sometimes using torches. But I'm going to use Technicolor for this episode because I do like a bit of illumination. And when we're talking about illumination at night, it's really critical. And so you've got moon and starlight, and importantly, where you've got lamps and things like that, these are going to basically produce these sort of circles or areas where there is daylight, and daylight won't get the benefit of night. So you lose concealment, and that's a real disadvantage. Now let's look at the sub-planning. They've got to take all this into consideration, including that they don't have plans of the vessel. They don't know who's on board that ship, and they've got to work out ways to, blow the anchor chain. They've got to deal with all the problems on the deck, going down into these passageways, which are very narrow, only one man leading. They've also got what's below deck, the mess areas, and the problems of the cargo hold. And of course, they need to take and secure the engine room and the bridge. In addition, they've got to consider the enemy's most likely course of action and how they're going to respond to it. So the officer commanding, Lieutenant Giroux, decides that he's going to have Sergeant Kaplan lead the breaching group and Corporal Bardown the security group. And here's their plan, as you can see. Okay, let's now turn our attention to the raid, and this is Operation Neptune. Well, we can see from the Abort jetty here, the Sea Sparrow is at berth. Just behind her, closest to shore, is a fishing vessel. You can see the trench line there with the Ascari in it. And of course, there's a Dubat patrol. But first, at 0300, we get our first diversionary air attack. You can see the attack running in through the cemetery and then onto the market. And this is left by Captain Foch of that 1st Portez Squadron. They come in low, going to get better visibility, and also for shock and awe over the cemetery and the village which is nearby. The sentries basically initially think they're Italian. As these aircraft descend even lower to treetop, they then rush for cover as the Portez open fire. Then their first payload comes out. They're not dropping all their bombs because they're saving that for the market square. They bank and turn off. There's another opportunistic run which has sighted a foot patrol. It opens fire and basically annihilates them. The bombers then keep moving forwards straight onto their secondary target, which is the market. They come in again quite low, good visibility with all those lights, and then start dropping their bombs, which are quite accurate. These basically explode all over the place. They continue their attacks until all their ordnance is expended. Even here, just banking off, they've still got ammunition left, and they open fire in one last sweep, ultimately returning to base. At 0303, the main raid has now commenced. The Sea Spirit and the Sea Sprite are moving quickly. There's a light breeze, and you can see the French flag vaguely in the gloom. But at 0242, the MTBS spots several dhows to port. At the jetty, though, all appears quiet, except there's a commotion around the fishing vessel. There's loading and unloading going on. There's also an Ascari guy and a civilian having a cigarette at the end of that jetty. We also can see just down here a few people on board the vessel, but notably several characters on the hold deck of the Sea Sparrow. Let's remember the lighting which is in play just as the MTB slow their engines and begin to disgorge their rubber dinghies. The breaching group heads off wide, whilst the security group heads straight towards the jetty, keen to avoid any of the light, as you can see there, and they get pretty damn close as the breaching group gets even closer as well towards the vessel, where you can see those people on the deck. However, there's noise from the explosions. The Ascari move away, as giving an opportunity for the Marines to go on board, and also at the same point we see the civilians move away due to the noise and go downstairs. This allows for the Marines to quickly scramble up and put their grappling hooks over the top, lower their sort of breaching ladders, and we then see a silent kill taking place against the Ascari, and the civilian is captured. Ultimately, there's still commotion just as an Ascari runs past the fishing vessel, and now we've got all these guys on the deck. Now one of them makes a reaction roll and notices the German on the side of the vessel. Now up above you can see the duty officer, who immediately radios down, and we get the alarm being set off, which is absolutely chaos for the Marines now. They're going to have to move quickly, because this is in fact a disguised German supply ship, the Sea Witch, and she has Kriegsmarine on board, and in the plans that you can see there, we've got a number of Kriegsmarine armed with SMGs. We've also got civilians, some may be armed, and also some seamen who may be armed. So in this light, looking down on the deck, they're open, and Giroux is absolutely mortified as both the teams try and get on with what they're supposed to be doing. The breaching group now descend down the stairs with an SMG leading, and they enter into the cargo hold down some narrow steps. However, at the open bridge, an SMG opens fire down onto the deck, causing problems. There's return fire from some riflemen, but below, several Kriegsmarine burst into the hold, firing with their SMGs, which echo off the walls and send ricochets. On the quay side, or on the beach side, you've got small arms fire now coming from the Askari shooting up towards the boat. The Dubats are now taking over the trenches as they move forwards. And we've got one guy setting charges against the chains. However, he fumbles and drops the explosives down the side as the rest of the security group move forward into positions. There's more gunfire from the open bridge. There's real problems now on that deck. We can see some go down from the French into the hold and arrive in that sort of mess area in the centre there. There's a massive gun battle. The Kriegsmarine get pinned down, but quickly unpin and then charge, killing one of the Marines in the process and forcing them back into the bulwark. The SMG guys got quite far forward as Askari come pounding down the jetty, intent with fire support from the beach side. You can see there the breaching group taking up defence as there's a melee down below. One of the Marines is also killed by a sailor. They're still trying to basically take control of the situation, even deploying a mortar. There's still fire coming down from that open bridge. The Bren is firing, rapidly, trying to slow down the Askari. Kills one, pins a few, but the Askari keep unpinning despite more and more fire coming down at them. But the Askari pursue and manage to get into a good position. Meanwhile, it's an awful situation below deck as one midshipman kills 4 Marines. Giroux now recognises the situation is pretty hopeless and orders an immediate abort on the mission, fires the red flare and basically gets on his radio man to notify the MTBs to come in immediately, which they do. But he's also made a call to effectively sink the vessel, and it's a sauve qui peut order he orders to the rest of his crew. The breaching group are managing to get on board the vessel, but the rest of his, despite being shot at, one man staying behind, effectively managed to get off the boat, and they're now trying to row away. But the MTB has come in, misheard the order on a comms fail, and decides it's going to have to torpedo straight away. Meanwhile, the Askari are chasing and manage to capture ultimately the machine gunner, and the rest of the security will break free. But it's a critical moment now because the boats fail their movement role, and effectively as the torpedoes are fired, they're racing straight towards the ship. There's still one guy on board and the boat, and the whole thing explodes into a ball of flame and literally breaks in half and sinks pretty much instantaneously. There's a huge number of bodies in the water. The MTBs pull in and try and pick up whoever they can. Many are burned terribly, but the MTBs break free, both of them meeting up together, and they manage to exfil successfully. Well, let's get to the outcomes now. Well, obviously the Sea Witch was sunk. The French lost 12 out of 24 men, taking 1 prisoner of war. The Italians lost 4, but the German casualties were unknown. Well, this was just a brilliant planned and executed game, played in the right spirit. It was really challenging in parts and really exciting. It was a shame that the Colonial Sloop didn't engage, but there'll be some probably unforeseen circumstances due to this, but the Marines acquitted themselves well. Remember those DAOs? Well, we've got Operation Hermes, and that's an Italian mission that's currently classified and hasn't been completed yet. But coming soon, we've got Hull Aqueduct. And can we also remind you that we should always remember those that have fallen and served, and also help the living. Importantly, if you want to get in contact with us, just PM me. This is Military Wargaming, and it's over and out from me. So bye for now. In the meantime, please do share, support, and subscribe for more content. Bye.